Hello, I am Wanda, aka Gwen Zimmerman, your instructor, and I do prefer to be called Gwen. If you are like me, and you might be in some ways, you like to put a face with a name. Well, this is Gwen's face. And unfortunately for you, you're going to be seeing this face fairly often because I enjoy making videos and they will appear in each module as either presenting information standing alone or reinforcing other lessons that I give. But right now, I want to welcome you to English 295 Online Comparative Mythology. I have a deep and abiding passion for myth, and it began when I was 7 years old. And it began with Volume 7 of the Golden Book Encyclopedia. Now I'm going to take a trip, a little nostalgic walk into the past. My mother would go to Purity Grocery Store in Arcata, California every 2 weeks to buy groceries. And for as many volumes as there were for the Golden Book, set of Golden Book encyclopedias, she would buy a volume every 2 weeks. And so that is how we came in possession of this book. And in Volume 7 had an article on Greek myth, and I was fascinated by it. I had just learned to read. I was in 2nd grade. I guess I had been reading for about a year, but I had progressed to the level where I could actually read this article in this encyclopedia that was, of course, a child's set of encyclopedia, and I was hooked. And the older I got, I read everything that I could find on mythology, but at that time, it was mostly Greek and Roman. There was a little sprinkling of Norse as I grew older, but I knew nothing about Sumerian myth and very little about Egypt. Now, when I got into high school, I found out that there was a book of Egyptian myth called the Book of the Dead. And I managed to find this book at the local library and was very disappointed. It wasn't specifically about myth, but it did have rituals for sending the soul into Tuat or Duat, which is the name of the Egyptian afterlife. And so I was very disappointed, and the spells didn't work. So I progressed on and had a recreational interest, passion in myth, until about 15, 16, 17 years ago when I began to study myth in earnest. I went back to school in 2000 and got a master's degree in British literature and creative writing. But guess what? Even writing about British literature, my thesis was on myth and on archetypal myth in Virginia Woolf's novel Mrs. Dalloway and Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, which I do teach in my Myth and Monsters class, and I'm just getting that plug in there in case you would like to take another myth class. For 9 years, I taught a sophomore seminar in world mythology, and much of that class is being rolled over into this class because it did concentrate and center on the theory of archetypes and examining the commonalities of myth in diverse cultures. Now, I'm not going to explain archetypes because there is a PowerPoint lesson on archetypal images. But that is one thing that continues to fascinate me about myth is the similarities of the myths from Egypt, Sumeria, Greece, Judaism, Christianity, Mesoamerica, South America, North America, and points beyond Africa and Asia. They're the same myths. They change according to time, and they change according to geography, they change according to culture. But yet, the seeds, the germs remain. And that is what we are going to be examining in this class on comparative mythology. We are going to look at the similarities, and we are going to discuss the differences that exist due to those factors that I just outlined. Of course, we're going to go into much more depth in the class, in the lessons, and I really hope that you enjoy this class because I know that I'm going to enjoy facilitating / teaching it, and I hope that my passion for myth spills over at least a tiny bit into you. Do I expect you to leave this class and, wow, I have a passion for mythology? No, but I do expect your interest to deepen, and I do expect you to leave this class saying, wow, I never knew that before I took that class. So, welcome to Comparative Mythology. Let's move on.